Hello, welcome back to the podcast. It's so nice to be here with y'all. I took a little summer break hiatus. I needed it. I really, really needed it. Doing creative output all the time is a lot, and there's a lot of different aspects to everything that I do, and sometimes I just gotta take a little pause and allow the creative well to start moving again until I have something to come on here and talk about. And summertime is, everyone's busy, everyone's outside doing shit. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give myself permission to take the first part of the summer off and take a little break and just recoup my energy, which has been really great because yesterday I had a song release, and it was the first song that has been released in almost 2 years. And me and my writing partner had been on quite a trajectory together with writing a fuck ton of music, and we had been pumping out songs and releasing them, whether they were ours or we released with other artists. There was a huge influx of that creative energy from 2020 to 2025. And in 2025, there was a big shift that happened between the two of us. And he got engaged and got married. And so there was just all these big life shifts that were happening that just meant that there wasn't as much space available for the creative pursuits on his end. And so this song coming out was such a huge thing for me because the amount of advocating for this song I've had to do because it's such a good song. And when I first wrote, it started as a poem actually, and I had taken a trip to Nashville, and I'd always been like in love with Nashville since the first time I went. And the first time I went was in my early 20s. The first trip I ever took completely by myself, for myself. And I had signed up to attend this country music university conference thing. I don't even remember what it was called. But I just felt the call to be there. And when something like that happens to me, I follow that thread. I don't question it. I follow it. I just know. I know something good is going to happen there. And a lot of really cool things happened, very serendipitous. And this was long before the secret, the spirituality boom in mainstream and personal development and all those things. It just wasn't mainstream yet. But I was there experiencing what I now know as serendipity and these really synchronistic experiences. And that continued in my life. And one day I'll tell you all the story about my first time in Nashville, but that's not for today. That might be an after hours behind the paywall sort of conversation. Because there's a lot of twists and turns to that one. But needless to say, it was a really powerful trip for me. One of the first, and the very first time I think I can say that I really followed my heart, and it turned out really well. And I didn't have the data or the confirmation or the guarantee that it was going to work out when I felt the call. I just felt the call and I trusted it. And this is something that has served me really well not only as a creative, but as an entrepreneur, and also in my relationships. It's like a sixth sense I've got for these particular experiences. And once I feel that very particular thread, I'm following it. No questions asked. Complete trust. Complete faith. I don't know where that came from, but it's been there since my early 20s and tracking this experience. So I went there, and that, I think I was, I don't know, maybe 22, 23 at the time. And it just always stayed with me how much I loved that city, but I didn't go back. Life kind of took me in a different direction. I came back from that trip. I got into a relationship like 9 months later, and that relationship became a very, very pivotal one for me in terms of my development as an artist and a creative and a songwriter and a singer and a performer. And then after that relationship ended, I started this new chapter by moving to a whole new province, a whole new city. No real plan, just that call. I felt that calling happen again. And so I've become really accustomed to following that thread when it shows up. And it showed up again in 2024. And there was just this feeling that I needed to go to Nashville. And my creative partner, songwriting partner, he was in some sort of program that was just outside of Nashville around the same dates. So we were able to coordinate, and like half the trip I was just there by myself, and then the other half we were there together. And again, it was one of those trips that I'm like, fuck, life is so magical. Like the rooms that we ended up in, and the places that and connections that got made, very, very interesting in the best possible way. Like, and this was a huge thing for me of, we got to just go with the flow and trust the flow and see where it wants to lead us, because it's my job to get myself there. And then I kind of let the universe conspire in my favor to direct me where I'm meant to go and who I'm meant to meet. And we ended up at a release party, and some really cool songwriters and up and coming artists, and really, really, I loved it. I had such a great time. And then when I had to get on the plane to leave, I was so sad, like heartbroken, like the kind of heartbreak you feel when you are in a long distance relationship and you've just had this really beautiful time together, and then you have to get on the plane and go back because you're not quite at that stage where you figured out how to be in the same place. You're in the process of, creating that to life, but it's not quite there. So you have this back and forth that you've got to do. And I remember sitting on the plane feeling this deep guttural sadness for having to leave. I didn't want to go. And a tool that I utilize a lot of the time is poetry. And so whenever I have a big feeling, I just throw it into my writing. I write a poem about it. I just do a transmission writing about it. I get it out. And this piece started to take shape about, leaving a lover. But the lover is not a person. The lover is a place. And I'm pretty sure I published that poem on my page and just kind of left it for a while. And then in one of our co-writing sessions, So it's me and my writing partner, but we also had these other pods that we were writing in for a couple years for sure. And in one of those pods, I brought up the poem, I brought up the story about how I was feeling leaving Nashville. And we decided to take a crack at turning the poem into a song. And this is what I love about being a creative and working with other creatives and having a couple different creative mediums, is that you can cross-pollinate, you can innovate, you can take one form of art and then transform it into another where that original flavor is still there, but it takes on a whole new persona, a whole new energy. And so getting to work with the two of them on this creation was so fun, and it came through really fast. Like the music came through quickly, how we reformulated the story of the lyrics and the vocal melody. Like when I write music, I channel a lot. So all I need is to hear the baseline music, the baseline track, and all of a sudden a melody starts forming in my brain, and it just rips through very, very quickly. And then, of course, once we have the baseline melody, then we start refining it, making it a little more hooky, a little bit more intentional, a little more punchy. And then also doing the process of distilling down the lyrics, because I have a tendency to be very wordy. And that's not always the best expression for a song. Sometimes if you can say it in a really simple way, that's going to be better. And then the long-windedness is great for poetry or another medium. But sometimes with a song, being able to just get to the heart of it is a really powerful thing. And sometimes the most powerful thing in a song is to take the long way around. And each song has its own soul. Each song has its own energy to it of what it wants to become. And as songwriters, as creatives, as writers, it's our job to steward the energy in such a way where it can reveal what it wants to become. And I feel so grateful to have been in that room with the two of them, because that's exactly what happened with this song. Every single layer of it, every single vocal track, every single instrument and instrument melody, like the whole thing is so vibrant and so alive. And the vocal take you hear on the song was actually the scratch vocal. So for those of you who aren't in the world of music, when you have a new song, you go into the studio to essentially record a demo. The demo is like the rough draft. We're going to use this and kind of create around it. And then you're going to go back in and re-record the vocal another time. But the thing is, and this is what I've learned on the production side, is that you should always be prepared for that demo take, because it could be the take. And you don't want to have your room not set up properly, or you don't want to, record into a mic that you wouldn't normally use. You want to set it up as though you are actually recording the final vocal, even if it's just the demo. And this song in particular really taught us that, because I recorded this in my bandmate's bedroom, that main vocal take. And I hadn't shown him yet. Like, he had written the music and I had written the melody with Jenny, and Jenny and I had done the vocal melody and the lyrics on this one. And I knew we had struck gold. I knew that there was something really special about this one. But my bandmate hadn't heard it yet. And I was going to his place and hopping in the studio to record it and show him what I'd come up with. And at the time, like, the studio was his living room, was where the main panel was. And then the recording booth, and I say that in air quotes, was in his room with some panels that we kind of built around me and the mic. And that was that. And we treated the walls, and it was a whole vibe. I loved it. And I was so energized to sing this version of the song that he had never heard before. But I fucking knew it was a hit. It was a banger. And so I went in and I gave this vocal take everything. I was like, I really need to transmit it. I really need to showcase like what the energy of this song is, and I'm going to use it through the instrument of my voice. And afterwards, he was like, "Whoa, that was so fucking good." I'm like, I know. And he's like, "That melody." I'm like, I know. And I think it was, I don't know, maybe because we got that down probably a few months after the Nashville trip. And then we were like, okay, let's actually do this seriously. Let's record this one. This one's a winner. Like, it's got potential to really go somewhere. So let's really build it out. So he got to work building out all of the instrumentation. And when you listen to it, you will be mind boggled. Every single instrument, aside from the drums, my bandmate did. Like, he's extraordinary. Like, it's so wild to me how incredibly talented he is. And not only did he play all of those parts, he wrote all of those music parts as well. Like, extraordinary. And so we went into the studio again, I'm going to say maybe 6 months after that original demo, because more of the track had been built out, and we were kind of clear of the direction that it was going to go. So I go in to re-record the vocal, and we get a good take. Like, it's not a bad take, but there was something not quite, I didn't quite nail it the way that I did the first time. And so we just kept at it. We kept re-recording that vocal, and each time, like, it was close, but it was never the energetic transmission of that very first take. And I was very adamant and persistent about not deleting that take, because he's also been notorious for deleting takes, and then I want that particular recording and then it's gone. So we learned that lesson early on with each other. And this particular vocal, I'm like, under no circumstances can you delete that original take. And then we decided to really put it out. And I took another crack at it this year in a totally different studio space. And again, we could not recreate that magic. And so we decided to go with the original scratch vocal, the original demo of the main vocal melody. And then all of the other parts that I sang, those were recorded after, and we were very happy with those. But all of this to say, like, when you have like this pull, this ping that's like, this is how it needs to happen, or this is the thing that needs to happen, or this is a creative calling that needs to be fostered to life, you gotta follow it. You really do. Like, I had to be so persistent with this song. The original song was recorded in, I think, the summer of 2024. And it took us 2 years of working on this track to get it out. And nowhere along the way did I lose sight of this particular song. We have written many other songs since then. And this one always was there in the back of my mind. And then it really started to rumble again this summer. And I was like, this is a summer hit. Like, we got to be listening to this cruising down the highway. It's warm. You've got the windows down and you're just feeling the energetic of the song. And it is a summer song. It needs to come out in the summer. And so I started advocating for it again at the start of this year, and really, really had to kind of push to get it released. And I think that's an important thing as a creative to keep in mind. Like, you can't just advocate for your shit once. You are going to have to get so good at backing yourself, so good at standing up for yourself, so good at really listening to the call of that intuitive nudge. And even when other people are like, no, I'm too busy, or no, I can't, no, you don't take that as an answer. You stay committed, you stay persistent, and you also trust the timing of when something is meant to come into the world. Like, that's a big part of it too. Like, I don't know that it would be as sparkly and potent and powerful as it is now if we'd released it last summer, because there were elements and melodies that were written in the last 6 months that did not exist before the last 6 months. And so if we had released that version, it wouldn't have been quite right. And so you have to balance this world between, I know this is a thing, and also I need to trust the unfolding. And eventually, like, the more attuned you get in your body, in your vessel, the easier it is to kind of merge those two together and then really know when the time is to hit go. And whether that hitting go is publishing a post on social media with your art, or it's publishing a song, or publishing a book, or putting your art in a gallery, whatever it is, whatever your medium is. And I just touched on a few mediums. There's obviously so many more. If you're a creative, this is for you. It's so important that you back your art. It's so important that you stay consistent and persistent, especially if you have a vision for it. If you're like, I know that this is supposed to go somewhere. I know this is supposed to be out in the world. I know that this creation, my creativity, is supposed to be out in the world and heal the world in some way, shape, or form. If you know that about your creativity, you have a duty to it, to back it, to stay the course, to really learn how to celebrate yourself, to advocate for the exact vision you have. And that doesn't mean, especially if you're in a creative field that requires collaboration, it doesn't mean that it's a my way or the highway sort of thing. There were collaborators on this project. Not only my bandmate, but also our writing partner, Jenny. And then we had the drummer come in and do the drums, and we had to take multiple different routes and takes. Like, the first drums that he brought through, they were so good. And then we just kept tuning them and trying new fills and like new rhythms. And eventually we landed on the precise alchemy for this particular song. And then we had the team that mixed and mastered it. And the version that we sent to them, it came back a little different. And not different bad, different good. Like, little, and it was just little things that they changed or they shifted or they mixed a certain way. And I'm like, ooh, Yeah, my ear loves that. And so it's important as a creative as well to learn how to be a good collaborator, to stay true to your vision, to stay true to what the project can become. And if something really doesn't feel right to you, you say so. You're like, nope, that's not the drum fill, or that's not the bass line, or that's not the harmony, But then there's also room for collaboration and creative input, because if you're just shooting down other people's ideas, no one's going to want to work with you. But also, if you only take on other people's ideas, you will lose your voice. You will lose you, like the essence of you in your creation. So it's a balancing act. You have to learn how to give a little and take a little. And you've got to be able to really stand strong in your convictions about the integrity of the project. I think that's really where the conviction needs to be, is the integrity of the project, the integrity of what you create. And if it's not quite there, just know that you can keep refining, but don't stay in the phase of refining forever, that you use that as a way to not put your shit out in the world. Because people get caught in that, a lot of creatives do, of like, oh, I need to edit this draft 20 more times, or the font is slightly off. And don't get me wrong, if the font's off, I get it. But there comes a point when you're not actually enhancing the project anymore. You're just dicking around. You're just holding yourself back. And that has more to do with your fear. Either your fear of rejection or your fear of success, or probably a combination of the two. And in order to be a really integral creator, you have to face that fire of being afraid. You have to face that fire of being rejected. You have to face that fire of your success and what it feels like when people really love what you do. Because that can sometimes be just as confronting as when people don't like what you do. And no matter what you do, there are going to be people who like it and people who hate it. And you can't attach your worth to either. As a teacher, in the relational space, I really learned that lesson there. Because when people put you up on a pedestal, there's an inevitable moment where they're going to kick you off of it. So you can't let your identity be tied to that. And when people are blowing you up and feeding you compliments and, oh my God, you're so amazing, you're so amazing, you're so amazing. Let yourself digest that. Be like, oh, that's nice. But don't let it go to your head in the sense of see, look how good I am. I'm so much better than everybody else. Because the second that happens, you're going to get bitch slapped from the universe, and you're going to get an opportunity to correct that. And that usually comes with a kicking down off of the pedestal, the demonization, the make wrong. And if you can walk through the world as a creator where you obviously enjoy the compliments and you take them for what they are, just people's opinion, and then you take the people who don't like what you do and you just take that as an opinion, but you don't attach your worth to either, that's what's going to keep you in the pocket of staying true to your art. Because if you start creating art for the algorithm, if you start creating art for the applause, if you start creating art for popularity, you lose your integrity. You lose your ability to channel what you are actually meant to bring through. This is one of my favorite things to work on with artists, because There's the project that they think that they should be doing, they think is going to be popular, that they think is going to go over well. And then there's the thing that they're actually meant to be creating. Whether, like, and let's just use music as an example. Like, there's the album that you write for the applause or for the popularity or, to get the thing. And then there's the album that is the truest expression of your heart and of your soul. And yeah, it may not make the top 40, and that's okay, because you've actually now produced something that has some integrity to it. It has some depth to it. It's got a heartbeat. Like, anyone these days can produce like fluffy fucking bullshit. You can hop on ChatGPT and write a song in 5 seconds, or you can get it to make a painting or write a book for you. But it doesn't mean that you've actually touched the depths of what you are meant to channel and bring through. And that is the role of the artist. The role of the artist is to translate the soul and to alchemize the experiences of the human. That, and like turn it into something of a more extraordinary nature. So like that is the path of the alchemist, is taking something of a dense nature and alchemizing it into a lighter energy. And that's what the artist does. On many levels, we're transmuting our pain and we're transmuting our experiences and we're alchemizing them into a beautiful art form. And then there are other times where we are just translating the human experience. We are translating this energetic from beyond that wants to come through and be known and anchored through art and through your creativity and through your expression. And so it's really important that if you are going to be a channel for that level of intentionality, that you have that internal infrastructure to be able to stay true to your art, to stay true to your creativity, to stay true to the vision that you have for yourself and your life and your creations. Whether you are a musician or a singer or a writer or a potter or a sculptor or a painter or a dancer or a chef or a knitter. Like, there's so many ways that you can express your creativity. And it's really important that you stay connected to the integrity of who you are as a creative and an artist. It really is. Because if you want to be nourished by the things that you put out in the world, you've got to be proud of them. And I'm definitely going to do some episodes in the future here about, especially if you're an artist or a creative, what gets in the way of marketing yourself and putting yourself out there. Because that is something that I have been noticing a lot in the creative spaces lately, is this resistance and almost an energetic collapse around having to market, which marketing is just backing yourself. It's just taking the thing that you made that you are actually really fucking proud of and telling people, hey, I made this thing I'm fucking proud of. Check it out. Like, it makes complete sense to me to be able to do that when you are proud of what you have created. And it also makes sense to not want to do that if you're feeling a bit wobbly about what you created. And so it's always a good barometer in some way, shape, and form. And it's also, those deeper levels of, can I be okay if people don't like this? Can I hold that? And can I also be okay if this blows up and it becomes, an access to all the success that I have always wanted for myself? Because people think it's high sensation to hold the lack of success, but that's usually more familiar for people. What's really unfamiliar is holding success and the vulnerability and the visibility that comes with that. And what that now makes you responsible for when you are more visible, when you do have success. A lot of people are afraid of their success, which is why they stay playing in the zone of mediocrity, or they deny their creative calling altogether. Because they're like, if I were to actually step into that, it would change my life forever. And if it changes my life forever, I can't control it anymore. At least when things are like wah, I feel like I have a sense of control over that. And personally, I would rather you free fall into possibility and really learn how to back yourself and learn how to bring through the truest expression of what is in you. I would much rather see you do that and contribute to the fabric of humanity with something that will truly make the world a better place. And you have it in you. You wouldn't be listening to me still if you didn't have it in you. You do, whatever that is, whether it is a more like creative, artistic avenue, or maybe it's an entrepreneurial avenue. It doesn't matter what the creative essence of what it is that you are doing is. It just matters that you back it, that you go all in on you, that you are willing to stay the course to see it to the finish line, that you are willing to accept that putting yourself out there will mean people do not like what you do, and it will also mean that people love what you do, and none of that has anything to do with you. That has everything to do with what your art stirs alive in people. And if you can kind of create that level of objectivity with it, it's so much easier to put it out in the world and be like, yeah, I know this is going to fuck some people up. And I also know this is going to heal so many people. You know, as someone who writes primarily country music, I understand that not everybody is going to have a hard-on for country music. And that's okay. And the people who are creatives at heart and the ones who know what it's like to be in the ring, they're still going to listen to the song and be able to appreciate the mastery in it. A good song is a good song, regardless of what genre it is. And so those types of people are the ones who are going to give me really wonderful feedback on it. And then there are going to be people who hear the song, and because it's country, they're automatically going to hate it. They're just not going to be able to let it in because they hate country music. And that's fine. Because there are plenty of other artists who are making music in the genres that they do like. And like, cool. Have them. Do that over there. And I'm going to do this over here. And all of it gets to belong. All of it gets to matter. And you can't let someone who doesn't like the genre of what it is that you're doing stop you from putting your shit out there. Because it's those people who are going to be the loudest, first of all. And if you learn how to master how to like energetically tell them to fuck off, like especially if they're being losers about it, like, or you just get neutral about it and be like, cool, that person doesn't like this flavor of creativity. You know, not everybody is, if we like take a different example of like dance, not everybody is going to be down for, you know, the polka or the waltz. Some people want to watch hip hop. Some people want to watch lyrical. Some people want to watch tap. It doesn't mean that any of those dance forms are better or worse. It just means that they're different. And you got to know where your people are. You got to know what it is that you're serving. You got to know that this is the truest expression of you. Because if it's the truest expression of you and you're like, I just brought through the thing that was in me to bring through, and if people don't like it, okay. I like it. I back it. Listen, I had my song on repeat yesterday because it's so good. It's just so good. And every time I listen to it, I hear a new thread. And that's crazy because, as y'all know, this has been a 2-year work in progress. So to still hear new threads 2 years later is wild. But that's how you know that you really created something that is the truest essence of you, is that you don't get sick of it. You're like, yeah, this is the thing. And I'm so proud of it. So whatever it is that you are making in the world, I want you to take this invitation to give yourself that permission slip to back yourself, to really champion what it is that you're creating, to be persistent and committed in the pursuit of crossing that finish line. Like, do not give up on yourself. Do not give up on your art. Do not give up on your creativity. Do not give up on your vision. And just because it may not have happened yet, it doesn't mean that it's not happening. And sometimes the most magical part of this entire process is the process. It's not even that outcome that you think is going to be the be all end all. And some people need to learn that by getting to that be all end all destination. And they're like, oh, actually, the juice, the fulfillment, the nourishment happened in the journey of creation, the commitment to living life as a creative, as an artist, as someone who's in right relationship with their full self-expression. And I really am stoked to live in a world where you are showing up like that, where I'm showing up like that, and we're all weaving our own unique magic and mastery and artistry into this beautiful tapestry together. So that's all I have to say about that today. And I do have some very exciting announcements that I will be weaving in soon, particularly related to my book and when that's coming out, because there's been a little tiny change. Well, it's not really tiny. It's kind of big. It's kind of a big deal. And so it's just delayed the actual launch of the book, but it is coming. The book is done. There's just this little tiny thing that we have to wait for, and I will tell you about it soon. But I'm very excited about it, and I also will be opening a new container called Feast and Feral in September. And this is a space for women creatives who are really interested in exploring the relationship between their body, food, and nourishment, their sexual energy, and their creative expression. So even just let the name Feast and Feral like marinate through you. Let it land. And if it pings something in you, I want you to reach out. I want you to send me a message on Instagram or send me an email. Get in touch with me, because I'm only taking a small number of women through this journey. And this is actually going to be one of the only ways that you can work with me in that type of setting going forward. So I'm very excited to finally do a program on the body and our relationship to food, and having that be a very sacred, luscious, vibrant, erotic relationship, and really stoking that energy of eros in our lives to serve our art. Because those two aspects, when you take care of the vessel, when you honor the vessel and you get in right relationship with nourishment, And that will mean unwinding some of the old paradigms that are designed to keep you undernourished or disconnected. And we reclaim that because we are feral women over here who need to create. Not only do you get to be well fed, well fucked, and well loved, you also get to utilize that energy to be the driving force of what and how you create. And so if creation has ever felt like a bit of a slog or swimming upstream, chances are these nutrients need to be fostered. And chances are, once we turn on those engines and we get you in the pocket of creating what it is that you actually are here to create, because that's also going to be a big part of that container. It's like, what is it that you are actually here to create? What is it that you actually really want to do? Like, what is the desire? Like, what does that creative desire look like, feel like? What is the vision for that? And then having the body and the nutrients and the erotic energy to support the creation of what it is that you're here to do. So if that sounds interesting to you, if that feels like something you would like to explore, I would love to hear from you, and we'll have a conversation about it and see if it's a good fit. And also, of course, if you want to go listen to the song, I will put it in the show notes. And I would love to hear your feedback on it. And I would love to just know that it is, making your heart happy, and that it's jazzing you up, and that you are feeling the aliveness that was coded into it, and all of the love and all of the longing and all of that energy of like, we don't have to just funnel all of our devotional energy into romantic relationships. That love, that longing can also exist for places, for certain expressions of ourselves and our relationships. And when we kind of open the scope, that is where all of the magic really starts to land. And I love that for you. And I love that for me. And I will be back very soon with another episode. I do have some guest interviews that I have been recording this summer, and I will be continuing to record some of those throughout the fall, and I will be weaving them in for all of you. And we'll be bringing on creatives and writers and artists and people who are really doing cool shit in the world, and we'll be having a nice real and raw conversation with them. So until then, I hope you have a beautiful day, evening, morning, wherever you are in space and time. And I hope that you take really good care of you and really tune in to what is that integral creative spark that lives in me, and how can I foster it to life in a way that I feel really good about, that I can really back. What is it that I could create that would be the easiest thing for me to back, for me to really stand in the fire of? And I want you to be brave and go into it. Okay? That's it. That's all for today. I love you all, and I will talk to you soon, friends. Bye.